Claire. Hey everyone. Yeah, I have various titles, and as a lot of you probably know, titles are just labels we put on things, and we like putting labels on things to process things more smoothly, don't we? Well, today is a special day, or actually yesterday was a very special day in Australia. It's called Anzac Day, and it's a day we commemorate all the veterans and their families that have perhaps paid high prices as in going to war. And I remember being in Afghanistan having a cup of coffee with some Australian forces, Dutch forces, and something had just happened that day. And some people that were at the next table weren't there anymore. You know, they'd been blown up. So we were sitting there having coffee, and suddenly the group of guys that's normally at that table are just no longer there. And how do people deal with that? There are all kinds of ways that different people deal with that. And the first time I went into a war zone was 2006. The way I dealt with it was by kind of cutting off the heart, learning to suppress emotions and focus on the task at hand. Now, in today's session, we're going to be talking about connecting with people on the front line, be it veterans, be it medical staff. Ultimately, we're talking here about connecting with people that are very heavy in the logic, very heavy in the auditory digital, in the logical left-hand brain perhaps, very head or very beta. They're in the beta brain waves, they're up here. They're struggling to connect to here. Now, this whole conference is about empowerment. This specific subject now, we're going to talk about how to access this for someone like me that's been in a battle zone, or someone that's working on the front line now, getting people through this COVID crisis. I see doctors every day. The last time I saw a registered nurse was an hour ago, a partner. The way they work, very, very left, very logical, very analytical, very go, go, go. And this leaves, and this comes at a significant burden to their families and their communities. And perhaps you and a lot of this community would like to offer some empowerment for them. But first, we're going to cover how to connect with them on their terms. We're going to look a little bit deeper into how connection in itself is healing. We're going to look at how to lower resistance. We may have a role play, so instead of me talking, we'll actually have a bit of a game going on here. So I'd love it. If anyone wants to turn on their camera, great. Let's actually see faces. And then we'll have a Q&A. Is that all cool? So connecting, very logical people, connecting on their terms. The connection is healing, lowering resistance, role play, and Q&A. You may notice there is a part missing there. Connecting, lowering resistance. We're not going to be entering the how to actually do deep change work stuff. The previous session was a great example of that. Congratulations for everyone that was in there. So moving on with the connecting. The essential thing we need to recognize is that if we cannot connect, no matter how hard we try or how empowered we are, if we're not connecting, you guys know what that's like. I can't see many faces here. Hey, thank you, I can see one. So let me see a nod here or a no, or you can put a Y in the box. Is there one or two people in your life that you would like to help empower, but it's getting hard? They might be closed to it. Now, they might not be on the front line, and I'm just curious, how many of those people are family members? There's a couple? All right. Now, really, really good news for you. When we actually do the connection, a lot of the healing is in the connection itself. Great answer there, Tam. A lot of the connection leads directly to healing. Connection is a healing process. Now, I've lived with veterans before. In this very house I'm in right now, there were people here a year ago when half the town was wiped out to a natural disaster. I've lived in a house full of high beta, high left, high logical responders. And if we can open them up, amazing things can happen. You don't need to be a coach. You don't need to be a huge transformation purpose. If you can simply enter their model of the world, they will start the healing process. When these people are thinking a lot, does anyone know what kind of brain frequency that would be? What kind of brain frequency? A lot of thinking. Or maybe a high frequency? Yeah. Because if it's a really low frequencies are like this. And as you go higher, it's kind of like, so as Nick has pointed out, the beta is where the stress, the anxiety tends to be. And a lot of the times what these people will experience will be higher beta. So if we can connect with them and enter their model of the world, we have the ability to slow it down. How many noticed in the last session that your brainwave was slowing down and your whole body was calming down, and perhaps you had a physical yawn or two? That's your whole brainwaves slowing down. Now, beta's up around here. Underneath that, we have alpha. Alpha, we have a lot of insights. And alpha is a great state for these people to be operating on from time to time. And a bit lower is the theta. The theta is where the healing is. Theta is where emotional stuff is stored. And delta is deep sleep. They're the common brainwaves. Below delta, there's another one lower, and there's another one up higher. And the one up higher is really great for getting awareness and insight, and your head's in the clouds. But everybody should be able to transition through the brain frequencies all the way down into the depths of a nice, peaceful sleep. And they should be able to come up to a high gamma or a high brain wave where they can see everything, and then come in to a beta ready to do what's required. But if these guys are stuck in the beta, they often go down to sleep, but they don't properly get the full effects of entering the full frequencies on the way down. So if they go straight down to delta, they might miss out on the emotional healing part. As a coach or as a therapist or as anybody that cares, all we have to do is lower them down a little bit. Just lower them down a little bit. Alpha or perhaps a theta. If you can relax and get them into the theta, boom, you're done. You don't really need to worry about coaching models and how to do stuff. Is that cool? Okay, so some people here may already be trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, or perhaps hypnosis or coaching stuff. Has anyone here had some kind of training? So we mix, yeah. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So when you're connecting with people, the key things for me to pay attention to is the words in the hearing. So I'm often on the telephone and I might have a phone conversation with my sister who is an emergency services worker. In fact, she went from being in the military to the 000 or 911 person. People would dial 911 and they'll get my sister. And she told me the same thing. You got to listen to their voice and you got to do this match and mirror thing. Match and mirror. So the key things to listen out for are what words are they saying. And you can use a notepad if you're doing this on the phone. And in this conversation right here for the next 25 minutes, I'd like to encourage you for the next 25 minutes to actually write some words. So we'll actually write out some words and then we'll do a connecting. Now, you might get straight into the role play here, actually. So I would like one person to pretend that they have just come off a 12-hour shift. You've just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital. You're stressed. You can feel perhaps what it's been through a 12-hour shift in a hospital now. I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of hospitals like the one here is actually pretty empty. Our hospital's at record empty at the moment, but some hospitals are full. So imagine you've just finished a 12-hour shift and what happens to your body. So I'm going to need one person to act as if it's this person, one person to act this person. Do we have an actor in the group? Yes. Thank you, dear. Good to see you again too. We met at Sprout.
Awesome. All right.
Okay. Now, Adiko has just finished a 12-hour shift. You know what a 12-hour shift's like. That's it. You see, she's acting. She's getting it. She's getting in the mindset. Yep. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Would anybody like to play coach, therapist, or buddy? So the buddy is going to listen to her, and the buddy is going to try to listen to what she's saying and give some empathy, okay? But look at her. She's freaking out. She's had a massive day. Who's up for it? Person two? Christina, you look keen. Christina, yeah?
Christina, come on.
Okay. Christina. Now, Adiko is going to let loose. She's been stressed out to the T. Go for it, Adiko. What's happening?
Oh, that was a tragedy.
Oh God, what happened?
There were like so many sick people, and then one came in, and we had to take to the surgery. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I unmuted the other mic.
That was excellent. That was stressful, yeah. A tragedy. There were like so many sick people. We had to take some of the surgery.
Yeah.
Anybody like to be coach? Now, if I was going to be coach, I would simply grab some of the words she just said. She specifically said tragedy. There were like so many sick people had to take to surgery. That's the words. That's the words. And I might have missed a word. Have I missed any words? I think I missed 2 words in there.
No, pretty much that's what I was saying.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this in the window right here. Dicko, could you say it again, please?
It was a tragedy. There were so many sick people. We had to take so many people to the surgery. That was like a huge bus accident.
So many people. So many sick people. So we're not just mirroring the, oh yeah, so many sick people, hey? Had to take him to surgery. How was that? How would you feel right now if I was your coach?
Exhausted.
How would you feel if I was your therapist? Oh yeah, you had to take him to surgery, eh?
Well, I would feel like you're not really understanding, or you're not really listening right now.
Sorry, I'm on my phone.
Like
So
you're not really showing empathy at all.
Now, we may be, a lot of us here may be naturals, but tell you what, I was actually completely incompetent in this thing. I was completely incompetent. A girl once told me I had the EQ of a dead goldfish. If I learned this, anyone can. Now, what we're listening for here is, we're getting the words. She's saying tragedy. There were like so many sick people, but there's a certain way she's saying it. And how do you think her heart is beating?
Fast.
So what if we match her and we also speak fast? So we want to match the speed, we want to match the voice, we want to match the tone. We want to try to match the words. We want to use the exact same words she has used, like tragedy, so many sick people. And we just want to listen and perhaps every now and then parrot, repeat a word back, in the same words, like so many, bus. This is your empathetic skills, right? It's kind of simple, but there's another thing that you can look out for. She's saying in here, tragedy, there were like so many. There's another language pattern in here. There's a few language patterns in here. So if you were to talk back to her about so many, perhaps you can talk about how there are so many tragedies. And just by listening, repeat back some of those words, you get more synchronization. But if your heart is beating at a similar rate to hers, you will connect, and you will connect on the same wavelength, perhaps the same breathing cycle. Now, if you use the exact words the exact same way, they become anchors. So if we kept saying tragedy, so many sick, so many sick, so many sick, they become negative anchors. Now, what we do with the therapy is slow down. And when we slow down, we start modifying and start messing up those anchors. So many days to go this week. We have so many more things to do. I was doing some gardening and there was a tragedy, like these whole sticks came down and they wiped out half of the garden bed. It was a tragedy. And even though it was in the garden bed, we can start destroying those anchors. So I need, thank you very much for your volunteering, Jiko. I would love to have another person come through, another person, perhaps Tan or Kristen or anybody, come and show me your most stressed out, freaked out response, or what one of your family members might say if you try to introduce meditation to them. When you try to connect to someone and their walls are up, what kind of response do they give you?
Well, I think it's typically just apathy, and sometimes apathy is what hurts the most. Yeah. Yeah, I've been, I've been very actively uh, engaging all members in my family this past 2 months. Some have been very warm and open about it, surprisingly. Others, yeah, just give excuses. Like said, they normally would say they're too busy, or it's not for them, and and things like that. Or even the stronger responses tend to be those who have strong pre-existing belief systems, right? Who are Christians, for example, and they think it's a totally, it's like you're going to hell, right? That's a strong response from a Christian. But I think that's not even. I think the strongest response more than that again is silence. It's just apathy, right? As it said by some sages, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. And yeah, because those who are apathy is harder to reach. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know how to reach them. Yeah, they've closed the door, right? Those who are angry, at least you have something to tug on, right? And to have some correspondence.
That's exactly what I want. Sorry, I love hearing the real stuff that's going on. Totally. So what kind of response do you get with the apathy? I mean, can you pick a specific person in your family perhaps that has this response? Or somebody that has this response?
Yeah, a couple of them.
Pick one.
Yeah, so there's I have a cousin, yeah, who well, she basically takes a long time to reply back, but often when she recently there were this courses, the 21 day by Deepak Chopra. So I was forming
That's
groups
been
after
running for
groups
years,
after.
actually. Hey.
Yeah. So but recently it's kind of been very active around here in China, and I've been pushing it out to other people I know outside of China. And then so there was this cousin group on my mother's side, and they're totally non-spiritual, and they're kind of surprised that I was even bringing this up with them.
Hey,
So
Tim, do you
so
have another chair near you?
another chair. Yeah.
Can you pull up a chair? Put another chair next to you.
Okay. Do I need to stand up for this? Hang on.
You can stay sitting down, but you want to grab the other chair. And anybody can do this. So pick one person. Just pick one person you're struggling to communicate with or connect with.
Okay.
That's it. You got one person in mind. Just pick one of those.
Okay. Yeah.
Imagine they're in that seat.
Mm-hmm.
How tall are they when they sit there?
Small.
Where would their
She's
head
a younger. Yeah, lower.
What would they wear?
Like this. Yeah. Sure, I can visualize.
Yeah, so visualize the person. Do they breathe from up here or do they breathe from down here?
Probably shallow. Up there on the shallow breathing.
Yeah.
Frail in constitution.
How old are they?
Mid-30s.
How many years have they been walking around this earth?
30 so years.
What kind of education did they have? Did they have a lot of friends? Were they ever bullied?
Not many.
Were they ever in trouble with the teachers?
No. Quiet type.
What does this person want? What does this person value?
I think she haven't even figured it out yet. I think she's lost. So I really wanted to reach her, but I feel like she doesn't even feel any hope for herself, is what I feel. Right? She just basically says, I'm sick. I can't do this. Right? Something like that.
As you and as anybody else in this chat imagines the person that they are struggling to connect with, and you think a bit more about them, have they had their heart broken? Do they experience love on a daily basis? Are their needs being met?
No.
What do they value most? You might notice a change in are you noticing any changes in yourself?
Oh, in terms of, you mean like as I deepen my understanding of her? Yeah, of course. Empathy, compassion. Yeah, these are things that, yeah, that starts to come up. Mhm.
What I find when I do this, when I try to connect to someone like my father, who's a veteran, I have a really high value for personal development. I have a really high value for growth. And I'm constantly growing. And I'm constantly projecting growth out to the world. I'm constantly talking about growth and growing. But my father, on the other hand, is in a different world. And that's totally cool. So there's an unconscious thing going on. Unconsciously, we have a conflict. I'm growing and he's like in entropy. I'm evolving, he's in entropy. So we actually have a conflict going on. As soon as I come with my kind of growth energy, my love, and let's connect, so we really got to ensure that we really come in and match them in their world. It starts with a deeper, I guess you might say centered. It comes from a deeper heart place, and paying a lot of attention to the words they are using. Now, the thing is, after they come out with their apathy or perhaps a bus and having to take people to surgery, there's a shortcut. We don't have to try to get them to open up. Just a second, just gonna take a breath. Just gotta process what you said. Dico, sorry. Could you say that thing to me again about the tragedy?
Yeah. So it was a tragedy. There were so many sick people and there was a huge accident. So we had to do a lot of surgery.
Sounds like a rough day.
Yeah. I'm exhausted.
Are you okay?
Well, it was just a really tough day.
Now, if they're a really tough cookie, they might be very closed off to anything about feelings. Now, in the specific words she said, there was no feeling words in there, no feeling words at all. Now, if you think about what's the fastest thing, sound? No, light.
Light.
So vision. Visual is the fastest, auditory sound is the second. And if you've ever seen bombs go off or buildings get demolished, you see it, you hear it, and then maybe a full minute later, you feel the ground shake. Therefore, if we were to say something about relax or how you're feeling, it might take a period of 1, 2, maybe even 3 minutes before that person actually starts to connect to any of the feelings in their body. So we need to extend the time. I believe if any of us were coaching or therapeutic to each other, we could pretty quickly ask how you're feeling and get into that kind of world. With a lot of the veterans, the first responders, the high beta, the high logical people, we got to stay back from anything to do with feelings for longer. Stay in the fact world if they're in the fact world. Another language pattern is robotic, factual, perhaps recalling this happened and that happened and that happened, and that means that it's all factual, like a robot. And if that's happening, if they're in like a robot mode, it takes even longer to get into the feeling world. But a great thing is that subconsciously or unconsciously, we connect through seeing and through non-verbal communication. We see the breath. And this is one of the easiest tricks I found. And you can do this in a hospital. You can do this in the real front lines, when the front lines are actually happening and they're under the pump. And you'll find so many of these people smoke, because as soon as they smoke, they connect to themselves. Makes sense, yeah? Now, once we're matching their robot or matching their logic, matching their functional world, we slow down our breathing a little bit. Now, there's this body language thing where they talk about match someone's body language. This is totally over the top, over the top. You match the body language, but you do micro muscle mirroring, micro muscle, just little tiny bits. Little tiny bits, not massive, big gestures. However, hang on just a second, I gotta take a breath. What a day! I love going over the top with that. I love going over the top with that. Try it sometimes. I remember I was in a cafe in Hong Kong. I was delivering a workshop, 2012, delivering a workshop in Hong Kong. I got like 40 people in a cafe, and a man on this side stands up and kind of yells at me because he's trying to have coffee with his mates. He's trying to have coffee with his friends, and we're doing a workshop in a cafe, right? So this guy has yelled at me, and I yelled at him back. He yelled at me something along the lines of, "I'm trying to have coffee with my friends." And I yelled back, going, "Yeah, you should be able to have coffee with your friends. Yeah, you should be able to have coffee with your friends and enjoy yourself." And he just took a step back, and I'm like, "Yeah." You get it?
Sure, got it. Mirroring, yeah.
Imagine you're in a shop. Imagine you're a shopkeeper and someone runs up. There's an emergency, and some kind of emergency, or give me all your money. some kind of emergency, and the shopkeeper's like, no, match. If they're fast, if they're agitated, you can be agitated too. The only thing is you're not agitated at them. You kind of stand the same way and you throw your agitation in the same direction. Police pull you up. Police pull you up. First thing you want to do is actually get out of your car. You want to get out of your car and you want to stand next to them in the same kind of way. And I'm doing this by memory. You stand the same kind of way and you point to the car and you talk about how it was going too fast. I can't believe it was going so fast. Police have an authoritative voice. So you join the authoritative voice and you shoot it in the same direction. And then you get no resistance. From no resistance, oh, what a day. What a day. Another great way to connect is, say Dicko's here, but say I want to work with Matan. Rather than talking to Matan, I can talk to Dicko or talk to Holly. While I talk to Holly, Matan will be listening, trying to figure it out. So if you're in an environment where you want to open up your cousin, and you have a friend there or a sister, talk to the sister and know that your cousin is listening to everything. So you talk to your sister about opening up, relaxing, and your cousin has no choice but to process it all, but his defenses aren't there because you're talking to his sister. I love doing group coaching and group workshops. When I'm doing my work, I'll try to get everybody to fill out a form sharing what their problems are. And then I might have 20 people, and every time there's a question, I'm helping at least 2 other people in the room with their problem or challenge. And it's all indirect because I'm answering this person's question. And sometimes that person doesn't get their question answered and they're like, huh? And then someone else asks a question, so I answer theirs and I give them their solution. And there's no resistance. So I'll have a coaching kind of boot camp thing and everyone will walk out of there on the next kind of level. And sometimes they have no idea how it happened, but it doesn't matter because they all start, earning more, getting more. It's because it's all indirect suggestions to relax more and get into flow. You don't need a lot of talent to do this. You just got to remember this technique of if you want to talk to person A, tell person B. And if you lose their focus at all, drop their name. And then they're really going to listen. Now, once you got the connection, breathe a little bit slower. You can use a big obvious, hang on a second. Oh, wow. Or you can use subtle micro movements, slow it down, the lower brain waves are the healing. If they're a doctor, you might talk more about the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic. If they're a little bit educated, you might want to use a fight-flight metaphor instead. If they've been to Thailand or India for a while, it might be totally fine to talk about chakra systems. But if they've never been to India, don't talk about chakra systems. Because the chakra systems are meridian systems, the brainwave frequencies, it all does the exact same thing, but it's just a different pile of language around it. So modify your language to suit the person. Don't try to get anyone doing meditation if they've never done it before. Get them to do breathing. Focus breathing perhaps, or just breathing and paying attention to the heart, because that's not meditating. Or maybe it completely is. But give it to them all in their own words. I've got a client. He was just going for a job with Russell. What's his name? Branson, and he totally doesn't do visualizations. He does now, but he doesn't call it visualizations. He doesn't know it's a visualization. The first time I spoke with him, he said about not doing any kind of hippie stuff. We were doing no hippie stuff, but we're doing visualizations now. We just don't call it visualizations. And he didn't want to close his eyes and meditate. That's fine, mate. That's fine. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 3 slow blinks. Just 3 slow blinks. That's it. Just 1 second, 2 seconds. That's it. 3. You notice your jaw getting a bit looser? Cool. And from that, we grew it. And he started keeping his eyes closed for longer, slowly introducing it. And I avoid all kind of words around chakra system and stuff because it's not his forte. Okay. So that's the number 1 way to do it, guys. Connect on their level. Beware of their voice, their language, visual words, auditory words, feeling words, or robot, the actual language they use, changing your language to fit theirs, having a compassion and empathy for them, and also using the indirect method. Any questions? Cool.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great. So I'm a bit confused by the difference between connecting with someone on the level and trying to change that level, because earlier you said it's good to mirror them, but when you mirror someone else's anxiety, that's opposed to what you were saying too about slowing yourself down. So is that something that happens after you mirror them first, or does it depend on the situation? I'm not quite sure the reasoning behind connecting on someone's level. And I know you said no resistance, but sometimes doesn't that just sort of continue the intensity in a negative way?
I wouldn't want to completely mirror their anxiety, and thank you very much for bringing that up. We want to match maybe their speed, maybe the way they're talking, maybe match some of the heart rate, and very quickly slow it down a little bit. Very quickly slow it down a little bit. Maybe after a little while, a little bit more. So we just slow it down gradually. And I said specifically about not to mirror anxiety because coaching therapies are really, well, it can be really simple and a bit tricky. We want to be able to be completely in and also partly out. We need to be able to be in and out a little bit. So be able to match and mirror and handle their anxiety without feeling the anxiety. Or if we feel too much of the anxiety, because then we'll get stuck there too. And if you note my body language, I'll actually take a lot of phone calls slightly sideways. I'll never coach people like this on Zoom because it's confrontational, slight angle. So it's the same. So their anxiety will pick up it and we may match some of it, but we want to quickly slow down a little bit. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I guess it's sort of like non-verbally showing that you're empathizing, but then in some way trying to break through their personal, I guess, defense mechanisms in some way.
Yeah, and in that word, you know, trying to break through, I would say rather than trying to break through is just being there for them. Just be there on their, be closer to their level rather than try to break anything through. I have some clients and I might not do any real breakthrough until maybe the second or third session. Sometimes in the first session, but generally I don't want to. I don't want to do any breakthroughs for the first couple of hours. I may end up messing something up. So maybe there's a reason they're closed. maybe there's a reason they've cut off the heart. So give it time before you go for any kind of breakthrough stuff. But slowing them down a little bit, slowing down the brain waves, I think that's where it's at. And that's the focus here, is more getting the brain waves to slow down a little bit. Slowing down the brain waves is therapeutic in itself. Most therapies work. When people commit to therapy, studies have shown that it's incredibly successful. All different types of therapies work, as long as it's, you know, the people are engaged, they work.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Really appreciate that. A lot of wisdom there. I need to go back and listen to it again and write some notes down as well, or at least at practicing. Last maybe, because we have Katja coming up very soon. Any last ones? Okay. Thank you very much once again. If anybody wants to connect with Adrian, we have the information in the group. You can also post there your contact details. And if somebody wants to, again, ask some questions about the talk, about how to connect to people on the front lines, I hope you can answer that in the group chat as well. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you. Good.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your listening time. I really appreciate the work and the magic you guys do for others, being the light for others. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you.